it's a dance review, but it's in Europe. So it's a topless dance review. But think about it's like the Rockettes or something and it's burlesque. So I've gone for years and I always invite the performers to like, hey, oh my gosh, you should come through and watch this show, like, and get inspired. And every time I've gone, I've had my performers come and they watch the show and everything's always been fine. This time I gave like an invitation. It wasn't mandatory. It was just, hey, I'm going to Crazy Horse. Everyone's invited. If you want to come, you can come.
Saying that it was an invitation is already showing that she wasn't on top of her.
That's the first thing that stuck out to me. I'm like, baby, you do not understand power dynamics at all to say that as if it's an excuse.
These are her employees, and she put them in situations that would be cool if they were your friends. And then since they're not your friends, it creates a toxic, harmful work environment. You don't realize that you're coercing people whose livelihood is attached to you to come to a raunchy party that they don't really want to be at. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, and then when they respond with their true feelings about it, you feel slighted because you're so into your own shit. Like, how dare these women not appreciate me using my clout and power to expose them to this dope shit? There's some people, Lizzo's cool. She couldn't have done that. Because if I like Lizzo and she's a bad person, that must make me a bad person. I'm not a bad person, so Lizzo can't be a bad person. And she's black and a woman. So clearly,
and she's a boss.
And racism, and she's a boss.
And she puts on for the plus size gals.
She puts on some
exactly.
Plus size,
I mean,
right?
It's so many intersections that I understand the impulse, but I think it's the wrong one.
And the dangerous thing is that is like, while the crimes are not comparable, I want to be clear. That is exactly how people just responded to the Jay-Z situation, which I understand the recent aftermath. That shit got my conspiracy. Can we get conspiracy brother for a second?
It's a red flag.
Let's get to Lizzo because I was really
let's do Lizzo. So yeah, did y'all watch that clip? I'll pull it up, but
I watched the clip. I didn't watch the whole thing. I was kind of thrown, especially by the accompanying tweet, because I haven't followed this, and I'm really interested because Lizzo, this dropped around the same time we talked last year. I feel like, because I remember people talking about this and Jonathan Majors at the same time.
Yeah, because she really kind of dropped off the radar after the accusation kind of came forward.
Yeah,
and
it wasn't good.
It wasn't,
still don't look good. But I also don't know all the details. But it don't look
me either, honestly. And I'm a little bit like, but you know, I leaned in the direction of here. Let me see. Can y'all hear this?
That period of my life was very dark because of the feeling of betrayal. Not because I was like, oh my God, like I did something wrong. It was like, no, like the wind was knocked out of me by people that I cared about. A little bit of my innocence is gone and a little bit of my free spirit is gone for sure. Because that kind of like mass betrayal it's hard for any person to take. I feel like you understand.
And I know that a lot of what we do, and it feels so far away from you.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go through a couple of bits of context, and we pop in your opinions throughout this. So that's her talking about how she felt about the situation. There'll be another video that I'll play, which is her talking about like the night in question or the nights in question. But to give context, basically the idea is that her employees, some of her backup dancers, have gotten a case together saying that she sexually harassed them by putting them in situations where they were expected or forced to partake in basically sexually explicit kind of like party shit, like, getting a lap dance, that kind of shit that they were not consenting to and didn't want to do and felt beholden to because their employer was goading them on into doing it. So this person says this is top tier manipulation and I cannot wait for the truth to come out. Their case has not been dropped. Her and her team have been doing everything they can to delay it so that she can do damage control. The case is finally getting some movement next year. I'm ashamed I'm ashamed I ever looked up to her in any way, shape, or form. I know those girls and they are not liars. This woman, yeah. Y'all know me, and okay, well, that's just kind of going on into that. But that's kind of some of the context. And so let me play this next video where she kind of talks about what happened on the night, or her version of what happened on these nights in question. Let's see.
So this isn't a strip club. Crazy Horse is like it's a dance review, but it's in Europe. So it's a topless dance review. But think about it's like the Rockettes or something and it's burlesque. So I've gone for years and I always invite the performers to like, hey, oh my gosh, you should come through and watch this show, like, and get inspired. And every time I've gone, I've had my performers come and they watch the show and everything's always been fine. This time I gave like an invitation. It wasn't mandatory. It was just, hey, I'm going to Crazy Horse. Everyone's invited. If you want to come, you can come. There were plenty of people who didn't come, but then there were people who did. We watched the show. It was an amazing show. And the Crazy Horse performers, they wanted to meet me afterwards. I extended that. I was like, who wants to meet the Crazy Horse dancers? And they were all like, me. You know, they all raised their hand. So we all went downstairs. We met the dancers. We laughed. We talked. There's photos and videos of the 3 girls who are the ex-dancers who are suing me in a video with them smiling. So this isn't a strip club. Crazy Horse is like...
So that's some bits of context. Now, yeah, I'll let y'all go first. We do have limited info, but
yeah. So it's a lot of ways to take this. I'll start with where my mind goes as a fake famous influencer and a person. Okay. Like one thing that I think people don't get, I know people don't get this, and I also know that people in Lizzo's position don't get it either, which is the dangerous thing. Clout and fame and money, etc., will throw you the fuck off and amplify things that you never imagined being amplified because you stop being normal. Even if you think you're normal, even if you try to be normal, if you act normal, you are no longer normal because other normal people can't fully treat you like a normal person. And so you have to start thinking and moving as if you're abnormal. And and this probably even sounds dumb and weird as hell as people listen to this. I'll say all this to say, her saying that it was an invitation is already showing that she wasn't on top of her.
That's the first thing that stuck out to me. I'm like, baby, you do not understand power dynamics at all to say that as if it's an excuse.
Right. And so her talking about, like from what I know of the story, from what I know, and feel free to correct me in the comments and Schwan's videos, whatever, is that these are her backup dancers. These are her employees. And she put them in situations that would be cool if they were your friends. And then since they're not your friends, it creates a toxic, harmful work environment. And you might get sued for some shit like that. And I can be empathetic to her not realizing that early in the game. Not so much later in the game, not so much in the aftermath, because I understand she had to fire these girls and then didn't give them their money or whatever.
Which is a big part of, I think, this suit is that they're owed back pay.
Yeah. So it's like after you've made so I can engage with you became famous quickly. And you think you're just a cool, chill, what's the dog meme? A chill, cool dude, a chill guy, and you're not anymore. You don't realize it. You don't have the right people around you to help you understand that you're no longer that person to the rest of the world. So you might fuck up in the game. And you didn't. I don't know how bad she got. From what I understand, it wasn't like truly. What's the word I want to use here? It was like harmful, toxic activities that are like make people uncomfortable, but she didn't like violate anybody, from what I understand. I hope.
From what bits that and again, please everybody correct me if because I haven't read the whole case thing and all that kind of stuff. But from what I heard, it was situations where in the moment she was pressuring people to interact with naked dancers in a way that they didn't want to. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's just fully, that I would say that's sexual assault, really. So that's just what that is.
Right.
And and it's not to make excuses, but like when you're outside, you see women doing that shit to other women like all the time. But like FD was saying, those are like that's within a friend group.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy?
Like,
no, go ahead.
No, just no. Go ahead. That was me.
I get my what do you call it, gel manicures or whatever. I was at the fucking what do you call it, nail salon, and I saw something that was really interesting to me because so the girl who's doing, or the woman who's doing my nails, she goes up to the register and you kind of have to walk back past these desks, right? So she walks past another tech who's leaning down into a drawer to pull out different, polishes, whatever, da 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 da. She takes both hands and does this, and just does like a scooping ass slap grab of the other woman, walks past, and the woman says to me what felt like borderline, I actually maybe would prefer that you hadn't have done that. But I understand that the culture here is that that's just normal, so it's whatever. Because she wasn't like, oh my God, Susan, or whatever. I'm just That's not the woman's real name, but oh my God, Susan, why? It wasn't that kind of giggly energy. Right. It was like, damn, in the middle of a conversation, really, like it was that kind of energy almost. Yeah. And so I was like, and that's an employer, that's like a coworker, right, situation. Right. So it's like, yeah, how do you?
And that's why, like, within the context of different gender dynamics, and like depending on the level of violation, that sounds a little bit more violatory.
I don't know them people. I don't, you know what I mean? So it's hard to read.
It's definitely like there's certain thresholds where there's no gray area, right? Yeah. So we didn't go past those thresholds. We got close to them. I don't know. Regardless, the point I'm trying to get to is, so where she's really losing me now is accountability and responsibility.
After the fact, yeah.
After the fact. Like, you may fuck up and make mistakes. We talk about this with Jonathan Majors. A lot of motherfuckers fuck up and make mistakes, and it can be the aftermath can be so much better if you are accountable and smart about that accountability, right? When you start doing podcasts, whenever you start on a podcast to defend yourself, I don't know if there's ever a good situation. I don't know if it's ever good. In the history of the podcast.
I think maybe I agree with you morally, but I think I maybe disagree, and I don't want to. Yeah, I think I maybe disagree in terms of effectiveness because, and there's a conversation I kind of had with Dom about the whole Schultz, Kendrick, Black women, shits and gigs things, where it's like, depending on your audience, there's really no benefit in terms of the public outcome to doing an apology. Maybe you should, and that's better for community and building and doing the right thing. But in terms of actual clout payoff, and I don't think this should be your motivation. So this is fine. But sometimes, a lot of times, just doubling down and saying, nah, fuck you, seems, because who's apologized their way back into favor? Who's apologized and then shit was good?
Very few people.
Very few people. You apologize and people go, we didn't like it. We don't like it. The people who didn't want you to apologize, now they don't like you too because you were pussy or whatever. And so it really largely, but then again, time, I think the passage of time is one of the biggest things.
The key thing to everything is you only as funky as your next cut. So if Lizzo drops a new song,
Doja hadn't apologized yet once. So.
Right. And she keep on dropping hits. And so we ain't listen. If we forget, all right, yeah. Now we just say, she a Nazi, but it's a bop.
Yeah, that's the calling card, unfortunately.
That's Doja Cat.
Right. That girl, she can. I don't know. She can throw some bars off. But when it comes to
in the context of her trying to defend herself now, especially having a fraction of her public like notoriety and fame and money, I'm like, you really handled this poorly. She should have gone ahead and took the L, settled with them girls, apologized to them privately, and moved on.
Yeah.
But now she had to take a year out of her career when she was pretty damn hot. Like, I feel like the Barbie movie had just came out. She had a Barbie track that she didn't get a chance to really run with. So the Barbie movie just came out. She had to take a whole 6 months off, and now she's back and she's doing. This isn't an apology, but it's not the best thing to do. Is to just be like, "Yo, new Lizzo, holla at your girl," and then call it a day. By doing
she's drawing attention,
right? She's drawing attention, and then she sounds worse than she probably would apologizing to me. To me, she sounds worse.
No, you're right, but I think that this work because this when it first came out, and this was a thing that I really disagree with Mandy B from Horrible Decisions take on this. Shout out to them, great podcast, but I did strongly disagree with their stance on this. And I think it's where a lot of people have kind of come from, which is the same way that people took to. Now, I don't want to make that comparison because that's a bit too dark. But there's this like, I don't want to talk bad about someone who is trying hard in a marginalized group. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So Lizzo really does represent something, and so I understand that. And so a lot of people were looking at this as like, oh, they're just trying to tear down a very accomplished businesswoman, you know what I mean? Who's about her business, who's about building her brand, and they want to tear that down. And I'm like, but we have to understand that power exists even when there's intersectionality, even when you do represent something bigger, you can still harm people in your own community. And her dancer's a black woman too. So I'm like,
yeah, niggas is saying that about Diddy. Like I got people in my comments.
Yeah, that was. I didn't want to make that comparison, but that was the.
It's not. That was on my mind. Yeah, I understand why you didn't want to make the comparison. So, but you can say that anytime a person in a marginalized status fucks up in the game and gets brought to the table, that is a reflexive thing that a lot of black people or people in the marginalized community do, and rightfully so because of all the reasons we already know.
There are teardowns that aren't real. Yeah,
right. However, there's also just many situations where the motherfucker had it coming. They did fuck up in the game. They did do the thing, or they did the thing, and there is there definitely is a fundamentally weird and like toxic way that a certain type of person, male and female, but mostly male, jumps at the opportunity to attack a woman, especially a black woman. Like that is a thing. Like the last person I talked about was like Doechii, and people like what this Harriet Tubman music. It's like, what are y'all doing this to Doechii for? Like, Travis Hunter's girlfriend right now. That shit is getting weird.
Oh man, I was hoping we would like.
Who is that?
It's so weird. Travis Hunter. Go ahead, Giles. I'll let you.
I have just not seen so many niggas just talk to another nigga that they don't know online about his girl.
Yeah,
like, man, what you doing, gang? What you doing, gang? Man, shit, that ain't the one, bro. Man, you better be real. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, you know what's going on in their relationship?
Yeah, it's so weird. But like, women are like innately mimetic amongst men. You know what I'm saying? Like, if a woman doesn't, so
do anything, it's something.
You see how this bitch be breathing?
Yeah,
that's why.
Literally, it was some trend where it was like some 20-something women doing like a TikTok dance in an office, and niggas was like, "See, this is why." Exactly, yeah, something Minnie and a Bob or whatever that shit, and it was like, "Oh, this is why hoes shouldn't get to vote." We got to roll suffrage back, and it's like, what is happening?
Right,
they can't have a silly fun time.
Right, exactly, and so that's the fight you're in. That's the fight, and so that also happens with black people, right? It also happens with black men. It happens in any marginalized group. But once it gets outside of the black male sphere, a lot of niggas don't realize that they're doing the thing. And so you want to be critical of Lizzo for what seems like very valid reasons, but you're also in the back of your head like, I know I'm just adding a bit of nuance to a stream of shit.
Hatred. Yeah.
and vile. And so like there is the impetus to not like, what I don't do is, because we had, again, going back to Jonathan Majors, and somebody will probably do this in the comment section, either for you or me after this, people are like, you got to be fair. You got to give It's like, no, you don't. Fuck you. I give my opinion on the things I think are most useful when it's time.
What do you mean by that?
When people are like, when people try to call out double standards and say that you had this response here, but that response there, first off, it's almost never true. Secondly, it never engages in the real context of why the response might be different. And third, fuck you. Like, that is my general opinion. So, like, Lizzo bad in this moment to me from what I can perceive. And I don't feel strongly enough about how bad she is that I'm going to make a B-sides video about it just to prove to a certain type of nigga that I'm willing to critique black women. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't know if I maybe disagree, but I understand the impulse because I do think that the what if the genders were reversed thing is not a useful way of looking at shit because there's different context to things.
Right.
But I think in a situation like this, I don't think that this is the one for that stance. Like, I agree with that stance in other contexts, but I think for this one, we've got people who are suing for a hostile work environment, for sexual harassment, for sexual assault. And there are people that are saying, oh, they're lying with no evidence other than we like Lizzo. And that to me seems like this is exactly the kind of thing that requires commentary publicly.
No. Okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. No, I agree with you that commentary and like criticism of Lizzo is necessary. Any criticism or commentary that I do, what I'm getting at is that, one, any criticism or commentary that comes from a certain perspective is not going to be good enough for a certain audience, right? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, you're not trying to like appease that group that really wanted you to say that Jonathan Majors we shouldn't have even said anything about that, and we just should just say, oh, he's innocent.
Exactly. Yeah. Like that group is never going to be satisfied with any type of criticism that I make of Lizzo. And then I don't want to contribute an overreach because of the way that dynamic tends to work. But I'm not saying that the criticism is unnecessary or unvalued, because there is something to helping people see how marginalized groups of a variety of stances get away with shit and perpetuate shit that shouldn't be happening. You know what I'm saying?
Because it really has been a shocking avalanche from when it first started to even now of people just being like, they're not looking at evidence. They're just going, these 3 women must be money grubbing women who are jealous of Lizzo's success, who want to tear down her, hard built business. And they're just lying and making stuff up because they're not cool. And I'm like, look, I'm happy to look at the evidence, because maybe she is like just innocent, and maybe it was a misunderstanding that isn't right. And maybe those things, but we have to look at some evidence to say that. It can't just be Lizzo's a boss, therefore that's what do you call it, autocracy, she's cool and powerful, so she must be right. Like,
that's populism.
What are we talking about?
Getting back to the beginning of the conversation. That's why it's dangerous. It's useful if we can harness it for good things, right? If we can harness it for good things, maybe there's a value purpose there. But the flip side of it is exactly what we're talking about, and the dangerous thing is that is like, while the crimes are not comparable, I want to be clear, that is exactly how people just responded to the Jay-Z situation, which I understand the recent aftermath. That shit got my conspiracy. Can we get conspiracy brother for a second?
You go into, because we talked about it last week, and Alvin kind of broke down that there was some evidence that the evidence that has come out recently suggests that Jay-Z might not be, that it kind of leaned slightly in the direction of Jay-Z having not done this, but I don't know anything more than that.
Good bit that he could have been
and I'm so shocked that's what. So I am of the mind from jump that I doubted whether or not this was valid. I just knew that Jay-Z wasn't going to suffer any consequences. Does that make sense? Because people try
regardless of whether it was true. Is that what you mean?
Right. Like, people tried to make it seem like I was defending Jay-Z reflexively. It's like, when have I ever, like, you never heard me say these things about Jay-Z, but niggas is black. So like, my point is that, like, Jay-Z had more than most people in his position, most rappers, has just always been super careful. And so whatever was happening, I knew he wouldn't suffer consequences, because really, really powerful people just seldom suffer consequences. They just don't. You know what I'm saying? It needs to be like, it got to be a 4th, 5th accusation before something happens. The first one out the gate never really makes it.
Diddy is like 50 accusations in before it caused an issue.
Exactly. Documented on MTV as abuse experiences, video, and nobody did anything, right? So that was my initial response in terms of like whether or not he did this. Him being capable of it, I completely see, because this is, the way they run through things, his relationship history, whatever, like that's really a thing. And so what blew me away is that with all these Me Too stories that we've had over years at this point, how often do we hear, does the victim do an interview like within days of the revelation? And how often is that interview so categorically damning against their own interests? I've never seen anything like that.
And so what? Okay, keep going down the rabbit hole.
So my conspiracy is, was this like what they call some false flag shit?
A false flag, yeah. Okay.
Like, did they put this out there and plant this to get niggas riled up to go against victims, like
to inoculate?
Exactly. To get,
so you're saying this was like a fake accusation to inoculate against future, maybe real accusations of Jay-Z's?
I won't say it fake. This was an accusation. My conspiracy theory. This is my conspiracy theory. This is not a take. This is not.
It's just a theory. It's a hypothesis.
Matt Pat.
We're doing science.
Filter, right?
Okay.
Did were some strings pulled to allow one of the worst possible cases to come to the public eye in terms of like validity, so that the public could see that happen and then immediately turn against the many other victims coming forward? Because they're like, you see what happened with the girl accused, because that's exactly what it's going to sound like. This is the comment section coming in the next 6 months.
The Amber Heard situation.
Exactly. You see what's happening with such and such. You see what's happening with. You saw what they tried to do to Diddy. You know, that girl didn't even know that Diddy was in Denver. That Jay-Z was in Denver that night. You supposed to believe women? Like the comment sections. Anyway,
so you kind of allow a weak case to come through so that you can tear it apart publicly.
Yeah, like a straw man. Like a straw man.
Yeah, straw man.
Because like we know Diddy. We know Diddy because Diddy was reckless and sloppy. We don't know Jay-Z, but I'm gonna just keep it real. The Jay-Z's history with Aaliyah, Beyonce, these were all very young women when he started getting at them.
Very much so.
I don't think he's as sick and depraved as Diddy. I'm not gonna put all that out there.
I don't know if anybody is. So
I don't know if anybody is. But I'm just saying, I don't put nothing past nobody. I know this dude was on tour with R. Kelly after we saw R. Kelly pee on the motherfucker, right? So like, I'm not putting
let me not. You right?
Be fair.
I started that sentence crazy. I started that sentence. All I was going to say is, I think that nobody was looking at that as crazy as we should have been at the time. Is what I was trying to get at.
It was the best of both worlds. Like that was a jam. But you get my point though. Like, so it's not about putting things past believing Jay-Z so innocent or so guilty. It's about understanding how power works and how public perception responds to power being challenged. And again, going back to that populist thing, there's some people, even with Lizzo right now, it's the same situation. Lizzo's cool. She couldn't have done that. Because if I like Lizzo and she's a bad person, that must make me a bad person. I'm not a bad person, so Lizzo can't be a bad person. And she's black and a woman. So clearly,
and she's a boss.
And racism, and she's a boss.
And she puts on for the plus size gals.
She puts on some
exactly.
Plus size
I mean,
right?
It's so many intersections that I understand the impulse, but I think it's the wrong one.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so now I want to ask a question because I think there's a difficult one, and it's the one that I think about with like watching early Brilliant Idiots or even current Brilliant Idiots, but I kind of moved away from them from some of the recent shit. But looking at that and then thinking about what we do. And thinking about the Lizzo situation, the thing that I want to explore is how should businesses, organizations, corporations that have power or artists that have power, how should we approach non-traditional workplaces in a way that still facilitates safety? Because when you make content that is inherently sexual, is inherently crass, is inherently jokey, when you're a Lizzo, when you're a Charlemagne, and part of because I make sexual jokes and vice versa with Josh and Alvin. That's part of the job of what we do. Mm-hmm. If something happens where I say something that makes Josh feel uncomfortable, then it's like, what are the tools in place to go, okay, cool. We know that this is still, there's a workplace, but it's not an office workplace. So what's acceptable is different. So it's like, yeah, Lizzo is going like, yeah, the kind of workplace we have is not crazy to go to a strip club. Right. It's that kind of work environment. But I'm also, as you said, I'm not a regular person. I'm Lizzo. So when I say, hey, y'all should come through, people are going, oh, well, fuck, I know technically I don't have to, but if I don't, maybe she won't take me on the next tour. Or she kind of said, oh, it's optional, but is FD froze?
No, I'm just
okay. That motherfucker was standing still as hell.
I'm stemming down here. Like I don't know about y'all. When my ADHD work, I'm always stemming. So I happen to be playing with the. That was wild. I got pajama strings. Just cut all this out. I'm good. I'm paying
you playing with the business downstairs. We feel you. It's all right. We all do it on camera. FD canceled. He was he was playing with his strings on stream. But yeah, but I consent. So it's all good. But I feel like, yeah, what is the way to do that? Because I think it's very easy to after the fact be like, Lizzo is on some bullshit. How could she do this? Assuming that we're in the camp that believes the victims. But how do you do it?
I think so. So it's a couple things. So the first thing is, and this is a conversation I've had with a lot of different people in my position, some who have like had, cancelable moments, right? Is we have to, in an ideal world, we will all accept that we don't really care about this shit. We just like to see the mess, right?
Oh, okay.
People don't really care about victims. People don't care about abusers. People don't care about whatever. What they want is to have opportunities for clear villains and good guys and to rally around. That's why the Amber Heard Johnny Depp shit got the way it did and got so toxic and in many ways wrong. That's why uh Jay-Z and we all know about what they were doing for years, and now suddenly everybody knew was against it, but nobody was talking about it a second ago because it's such a clear binary of good guys and bad guys. Wrestling, you know what I'm saying? Like it's all kayfabe logic, and so the one of the wildest things that is like I'm never gonna make a video about this. But have y'all seen like on Twitter and social media? There's like streamers where their whole shtick is we're gonna set up pedophiles and go beat them up.
100%. Yeah.
And that's so weird to me. Like I don't want to defend pedophiles.
I know where you're going with this. I think I agree.
You know what I'm saying? But I can't help but think about that. The reason why this content works is due to like a really fundamentally flawed element of human nature.
It's medieval.
It's medieval. Yeah. That's a good. Yeah, it's medieval.
We like that punishment kabuki.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's what's happening and not happening to Lizzo. You know, there's some people that are like, oh my God, we get to make Lizzo into a bad guy. This is great. And then there's some people's like, oh no, we're not going to allow them to make Lizzo into a bad guy. Fuck those victims. You know what I'm saying? And the victims never receive what they need out the equation. Ever. We barely know who the victims are. None of them ever get restitution. Yada, yada, yada. So like, if we could get that engaged, that would be great. But that's not happening anytime soon. We are at square one with that shit. Go ahead, because I did want to respond specifically to your question, though. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I think I'll kind of shave it down a little bit as well, because the thing that I want to do is, let's say we lived in a world where just as a artist, creator, director, whatever you're doing, let's say that it's a world where consequences of any kind just didn't exist. So there was never going to be a cancellation. None of that was going to happen. If the goal was simply, how do you reduce harm within your organization while still facilitating an environment that maybe has crassness, sex work, whatever, as part of it, what does that look like? So if you're a Lizzo and you're going, cool, I run an office, I run a business, but part of it is sexy, raunchy, titties, pussy. That's part of what I do. That's my business. How do I create an environment where people can participate in that, but truly have the ability to opt out properly? And when a misstep has happened, we can address that within it. And that can take into account the fact that I as Lizzo have power that can make consent difficult to properly assess in a situation. You know, that's what I'm curious about.
And so I don't think it's possible to create the perfect framework to address that dynamic. That won't lead to exactly what Lizzo got herself into. I think the key is responsibility and accountability. So if you're doing the Lizzo type situation, and you're going to have raunchy, suggestive, pressurized situations that put people in those experiences, you kind of acknowledge up front, hey, we're doing some avant-garde raunchy shit. There's going to be fuck-ups of consent and flubs of comfort and, toxic workspaces, whatever. And we need to manage that as best we possible. And if we fuck up, we need to own that shit and have some insurance ready. You know what I'm saying? Have some fixers and some whatever's ready to like address it appropriately, give people restitution. What you don't do is fire motherfuckers and not give them their pay. That's the thing. That's the real problem here.
Because that's what was missing from the story to me.
Right.
If I would have heard her say, okay, this happened and then a complaint was filed and here's how I addressed it, then I'd be a little bit more like, okay, you made an attempt and people are coming back for blood. Maybe that is more than what's appropriate here.
Right.
But you're going, I didn't do anything wrong.
Exactly.
And I'm like,
and that goes back to like the whole power, the fake fame, or in Lizzo's case, real fame dynamic, is that when people start treating you differently, it's so easy to lose touch with reality. Like it's wild the amount of times I, at my very low level, have had to I've been in a weird situation where my fame has like spoken for me before I realized I was even speaking, and then had to like consciously, and then like constantly had to be like, whoa, hey, wait, nah, never mind. Nope, I'm about to be over here. I holler at y'all. I don't want any. I don't want those tickets. I don't want this
Right. Like you're getting
contract.
some kind of fawning submission behavior
Yeah.
that you're not. Yeah. That's difficult to contend with.
Yeah. And so if you buy into that, then that becomes normal. And then when people reject you, then you're like, oh, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And how dare you want your pay when you disobey? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you need good support systems, good handlers to keep you grounded so that you have the minimalist mistakes possible. And then when you make a mistake, you need strong handlers to say, yeah, you fucked up there and we're going to handle this as appropriately as possible. You're definitely not gonna go on podcasts and call and say, well, she didn't call herself a victim. What she said, I feel like I lost my innocence.
She damn near
No,
did.
she said I didn't feel like I was. I felt like so deeply hurt, not because I was wrong, but because I felt so betrayed or something like that.
And I'm like, that's
yeah.
and look,
that's
And when she
top
said
tier
like that, I was like, oh, that might.
wild.
I hope maybe to give her some grace. Maybe hopefully that's not what she meant. Like I was wrong. I was not wrong.
Is that what she said?
Maybe that was just like a miss. I hope she just maybe
Yeah.
misspoke. But
She said I felt betrayed by the media, by people that I thought were close to me because they said that I hurt them. Like, what? How are you
Yeah.
But I don't know all the evidence. So I still,
Right.
as I always,
Right.
in any of these conversations, there is a possibility that she's like, no, there was a right. They didn't file any complaint at the moment. Way later, after they were fired for legitimate reasons, then they came back and used this as a thing to, maybe that's true, but I would like to see the evidence. But the way that the language is coding, it's not seeming like that to me.
It's not a good look. And that's the other thing is that same power and status also works against you to get fair treatment. Because like this whole Jay-Z thing, like I'm on Blue Sky and I had my first Blue Sky Twitter experience.
What's it like over there?
wow, right?
It's dope. It's dope. It's dope for the most part. But I had my first Blue Sky Twitter experience because like I did a podcast and somebody, tagged me like, hey, FD on this podcast. And somebody under that was like, FD defended Jay-Z's rape accusations.
Oh, Jesus.
And I'm like,
fuck?
whoa.
Which FD is that?
Right. When did this happen? Where did this
That's FD Witherspoon. That's not me.
You know what I'm saying? But that happens. Like somebody could say a bad thing about you that can be completely fabricated or based in the most uncharitable interpretation of a small thing you said one time, this one day, like off cam, whatever.
That happens all the time.
Like, yes, it happens all the time. When it gets legs, and people that don't fuck with you, they don't need to. They're not double checking. They're not. This just happened. Oh, I get the vent on this shit. Good. I'm happy I had this.
Go. But the difficult life of a super famous, ultra wealthy YouTuber. FD.
Just don't come over and get your ass canceled. All right.
This motherfucker. Somebody called me a black supremacist, and somebody had the wherewithal. This is the thing you do.
As an insult.
As an insult, right?
Okay.
Whenever somebody says something wild, because online what happens is people will use very charged language to describe something that's actually not that abnormal.
Yeah.
So that when normal people read it, they have a charged up response. Because to a non-online normal person, you'll be like, no, this is why do you
can make something, you can make anything sound crazy if you use the right charged language.
This guy made a video where he said this other guy is kind of racist and a right winger, right? And it wasn't a good video. It was bad stuff happening. Somebody in the comment section months later now, as I reposted that guy's video, said, oh, I see we're giving room for false accusers. I'm like, false accusers? That is an interesting way to describe he called a guy racist. You know what I'm saying? But like, if a normal person hears false accusers, they don't go to, I said this guy was racist and he wasn't. They go to like worst possible places.
Rape, sexual assault, yeah.
Right, But that's kind of the online dynamic. And like, that is the weird thing that I wish Lizzo was better at understanding about where she is, because you are depersonalized. When you are real famous like she is, you are literally a commodity and a character in real life to other people's stories that they're making up about you in like in perpetuity. And so when you don't understand that, you do think you're just throwing a cool party as a boss. You don't realize that you're coercing people whose livelihood is attached to you to come to a raunchy party that they don't really want to be at. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, and then when they respond with their true feelings about it, you feel slighted because you're so into your own shit. Like, how dare these women not appreciate me using my clout and power to expose them to this dope shit? You know? And so, like, because that's what she sounded like to me. You know
How
what I'm saying?
dare you
That's
reject
what
me
makes
exposing
art.
you
Right.
to this dope shit?
You know? And so when you think about how famous people lose it so often and how like wild some of the things they get into are from, like, I still don't fully understand it, but maybe it's because I'm like, I got a good wife that keeps me grounded and brings me water secretly. But like, I get that when you get sucked into these cults of personalities where you are the personality, you can lose touch with reality, you know?
Yeah. And I think I think she's probably going in the right direction of, like, I think that strategically, this probably is the correct move, if I'm being honest. Like, I think that this probably would work better than if she were to apologize properly. Because I think this galvanizes the people who are most in support of her.
I think it would work better if she was a man.
Or was that an option?
Really?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't an option. So I don't know. I think this is actually riskier long run because she's a woman. Because she is not defending herself against the woke mob. She's defending herself against 35% of the woke mob. Because, you know, the other 65% is either on her side or not going to stay out, or going to stay out of it because they just don't want to. They don't want to play the team sports of it all. And then the other big chunk of it is the same niggas that hate Meg Thee Stallion still. And so I think it would have been easier for her to, even after it came out, it probably would have been easier for her to apologize, say she made some mistakes, and then drop some hits. From her particular standpoint. There's not going to be any Johnny Depp Twitter bots for her. There's not going to be any niggas on podcasts caping for her. Like, she's not going to get the benefit of patriarchy, basically. So I think, and I'm not saying this is right.
We're talking about the strategy, not the morality.
For the well actually, just saying the well actuallys are always there. That's the other thing about being fake famous, that you start thinking through the eyes of the well actuallys. I'm not saying this is right. I'm just saying strategically, it will probably have been a better strategic move for her to have just ended it and then moved on and released hits. Because by creating a situation where you galvanize an anti-fandom, those anti-fans are not normal. You see, I went through a whole list of ableist, problematic words. Not normal. Those anti-fandoms are not normal, and they're not.
I wonder about that, because I always think when it comes to like political stuff, and we'll finish up after this, but when it comes to political stuff, doubling down to your base seems like, you know, it's polarizing and it's more dangerous. So I agree in that regard that it'll galvanize the people who have always had hatred for Lizzo for literally no other reason than she's black and bigger bodied and all that kind of and on a woman. And those people will be more emboldened by this now. The same people who are, we know what I'm talking about.
Because they have a crusade now, right?
Yes,
like if you
that now has some kind of legitimate claim behind it.
Exactly. Like if you come out and you say, yeah, I did this, I was wilding, I'm still learning, I'm not perfect, I'm sorry, I'm making amends and trying to change.
It's hard to get claws in that.
Then it's like it's over. The end is right here where I admitted it. But now they get to start Google snooping, and they can create their Reddit boards, and they can start doing apocryphal analysis of your language. Again, all the Amber Heard shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and see, so I agree that part. The only reason that I am on the other side is that I think that those people don't pay her bills. So I think that it'll be more good and more bad, if that makes sense. So Amber Heard doesn't really have like a fandom. You know what I'm saying? Johnny Depp does. So I think it's hard to compare that thing. Whereas Lizzo has always had a fandom, and if you can rile up the people who hate you and the people who support you, no matter what. That's what a functional cult of personality is. Trump works because there are people who hate him super heavy and who love him super high. And I feel like that's the same, and that's the same thing here. So whereas if she were to say, "Oh, I fucked up," then you don't really get that galvanization on one side, and she still has all the hate she ever had. But if you go, okay, look, I'm just gonna double down on my girl boss shit, then people who loved me for that are gonna love me twice as much, and people who hated me are gonna hate me twice as much. But the people who hate me never paid my bills.
Right.
The people who pay my bills now are now showing up twice as heavy as before, like Nikki's fans.
So true. But I also I think that makes perfect sense. This is not a complete disagreement, but
sure,
the perspective I have is, you know, that like meme where it's like, okay, you live forever, but there's like a worm.
A snail, yeah.
A snail that if it touches you, die.
You die. That immortal snail, yeah.
The immortal snail. Just bravo to whoever thought of that shit. Anyway.
And who would have thought that would become a meme that stood? Because that's from like 10 years ago. It lasted so long. Maybe it's real. You know what I mean?
I'm sorry. That bro.
It actually
like maybe it's real. History. Yeah. And it's to throw us, it's a false flag, you know, like that snail wrote that Reddit post.
He's letting the motherfucker know, I found you.
I'm coming for you.
I'm coming you.
So Eddie, you killing me, nigga.
We never know. We don't know. There's so much going on in the world that we don't know about. You know what I mean?
Let me make this point.
I'm just speaking truth, man. I don't mean to be a conspiracy theorist.
What I'm trying to say is the anti-fandom, because the fear of the fear with the snail. Eddie got a straight face too. That's what's fucking me up. He's not laughing with me at all.
I'm just trying to talk to you. I don't know why you.
I know, like nigga, there really is a snail out there.
Right.
I've seen mad snails. How do I know which one it would be?
The fear with the snail is that when you sleep, that nigga might catch up to you. Right? You can't ever feel comfortable.
You got to keep moving.
You got to keep moving. You don't know where this nigga is, and like you could be good for a while, but it might be that one day that this nigga's like catching up to you. Right?
I like that the snail is a nigga. For some reason, I like the personification.
This kind of sounds like a YN, right?
Yeah. This nigga snail.
The snail riding the baby Kaya. So I'm saying the analogy, the point of this analogy, before I completely lost it. Cut all this.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Is that anti-fandoms are so unpredictable. They're agents of chaos. And so you don't know. First off, she might have other dirt. She might have other shit she don't want to get out there. She might have other shit that other people and
they start digging.
Right. And anti-fandoms dig, because now this becomes their whole life. And it becomes their meaning in like the world is to hate this one motherfucker. I look at, and I don't even fuck with this dude, right? But y'all heard about Vosh?
Yeah.
So Vosh, for those who don't know, that's watching, that are like, sorry, I'm ruining this with you, letting you know about this motherfucker. He was a left tubey streamer guy that just created enemies on enemies on enemies on enemies, and that was his shtick. He was just a really edgy guy that would constantly get himself in trouble, but he would always double, triple, quadruple down. He would never apologize. And like he did so many dirty, bad things, but it just wouldn't stick. But he had built an anti-fandom that was so strong that it was only a matter of time before they fully got this motherfucker. And he fucked around and was looking at anime lolly porn on his streamer computer, and somebody screamed. It was literally like half a second of this on the screen. But because he has so many hate watchers, they got that shit. They traced all the images back to their original places.
What?
Like, right. You know what I'm saying? And so like that is, so you better be, if you're gonna galvanize an anti-fandom, you better be clean as a whistle. And none of these motherfuckers, most people aren't clean as a whistle. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's just riskier what she's doing. But it ain't gonna matter if her next song is Not Like Us remix.
Honestly,
you know what I'm saying? If she come with a scissor hit, it ain't gonna matter. If she get Dr. Luke or whoever producing Doja Cat joints, it ain't gonna matter.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean that'll definitely help. But honestly, even if she don't drop like a big super hit, like she's still gonna be okay.
true.
Because and I don't be careful how I say this. The accusation isn't the worst thing someone could do. Like,
No,
you know what I
I
mean?
was thinking that. I don't think that the public is going to take a thing like this as seriously as they ought to, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's because I mean, like, oh boy, how do I want to say this? Like,
It's kind of like where we are with Jonathan Majors now. He got his probation, and now his movie. He got a movie coming out next year.
yeah,
You know what's crazy? I was thinking about that movie. We got to close this bitch out.
Yeah.
But like, I was thinking about his movie because that shit got scrapped in like 2022 or whatever, and now it's coming out next year.
on
Yeah.
Zeus Network.
Because
Can
they
you believe it?
Oh wait, Magazine Dreams is coming out on Zeus.
Yes.
What is Zeus Network?
Wow,
I know
man,
that.
it is the
Is that
it,
Tubi?
that's Tubi. That's Tubi
Nope.
type shit.
Kind of.
It's
like
above
you know
Tubi,
Bad
though.
Girls Club.
Yeah.
All them like black like nigga shows like they just bitches be fighting just everything.
Oh, reality TV
Bad
type
Boys,
shit.
yeah, reality. Just
Yeah.
it's just turned around like drama, people fighting, drinking. Yeah.
Even still, because so, but I don't want to get into. God, have we went a show in the last like 365 days of talking and not talking about Jonathan Majors together?
Yeah, I feel like Jonathan Majors and Drake is just his end of the ground. I think Josh had a thing that he was trying to
Yeah,
finish.
I was
out.
trying to
That was
agree with him. I apologize.
Yeah, I'll sum it up because I don't want to. Basically, I'm trying to be careful with what I say because I don't want to make it seem like I don't take it seriously or like it's not something that should be looked at or should be taken seriously. It's just I guess within the scope of things and then just all the shit that we're inundated with on a day-to-day basis. The people were in an awkward situation at a place and were unfortunately put in a position where they had to interact with some half nigga people. No one was hurt. People were, of course, felt some way. That's fair. Cool. I agree with y'all. Like, she definitely should have just like, you know what? I didn't realize exactly what the fuck I was doing. That's on me. That's my fault. If y'all don't
I
want
thought
to
everybody was
more,
horny
pay
and
'em,
freaky
cool.
like I was. My bad, y'all.
Yeah, and that could have been it. But like, yo, I ain't gonna hold you. I completely forgot about that whole thing that shit happened earlier this year. I didn't
think a
think
lot of
about
people did.
Lizzo until she popped up on Consonant's Mafia-thon. And
Yeah.
and from my frame of reference, she got hella haters. I see more people just throwing hate at her than love, just like in the comment sections. And people just started to like her and see her in a different light from the Mafia-thon thing. So
she could have kept it. She could have kept it.
She could have kept it. I mean, because Meg has a case that came around the same time and got nobody said shit about that. She was on Kamala's stage, cool. Meg has not said a single fucking thing about her sexual harassment case, and I don't think anybody's probably ever going to talk about it again. So
yeah, because when like and power and money really move the needle, and this is what I was trying to say. Based on that random tweet or skeet, as they call it on Blue Sky, with Jay-Z. When you have your power and your money and you manage it well, there really aren't any consequences. Regardless of if you're guilty or not, there are no consequences unless you get into that Diddy, Epstein, Weinstein type of timing. And you
or if you should
reckless. Go ahead.
Or if you should happen to find yourself being followed by a six-packed Italian with a 3D printed gun, in which case you may be seeing a red flag. But
or red flag.
At the same time, if you throw a titty party and you the employer in charge of everybody and you act like nothing happened, it might be you that's waving the red flag. It's been the Waving the Red Flag podcast. It's been your boy Eddie. It's been Josh, joined by the super famous, illustrious, extra powerful Clout Demon FD Signifier.
Clout Demon.
Thank you for
Clout Demon.
Thank you. Thank you for coming through. We appreciate you. What should the people check out? What should they see? What do you got, in the works, et cetera, et cetera? What do you want people to know?
Yeah, check out the B-Sides channel around when this drops, because that's the only thing that's going to be percolating for me until February. God willing, me and Lil Bill are collabing on a series about hoteps and reclaiming
that's the
perfect time of the year.
Yeah, 28 days.
And I'm always around. I'm definitely still in. When you hear that jazz bar in like a movie, It coming up soon. Just know it was me.
Are you making movies? Are you making movies now?
I just plan on. I'm about to make a movie just so I can use that. Just so the villain can use that line.
There we go.
It's gonna be a completely different context. But when niggas say we about to play jazz up in this bitch, like,
we about to play jazz in this bitch.
Play jazz in this bitch.
The notes that they used to play, we doing something different now.
Something different. Yeah, like I am actually working on trying to get funding for like a full-on documentary that's going to be like, it's an essay that I wrote that I was ready to make into a YouTube video, and then I was like, nah, this is it. This is how I get up out the hood.
Okay.
So I'm trying to
bring us with you. Don't forget where you came from.
So putting that out there whenever next moves are made, I'm just putting it out to the universe. At some point in time, I'll probably end up having to do a GoFundMe to get it finished or something. I don't know yet. I'm talking to all the people with money that I know that I've accumulated over the last couple of years of being a clout demon to be like, all right, you see these views, give your boy a budget. Right? Help me get out the hood. I can do it. You know, I can return an investment.
I got $5 for your Don't worry about
it.
We got something. We'll let y'all something. 100%.
Indeed. But yeah, that's it. That's it. I appreciate y'all. Follow me on Blue Sky. Just don't. You got it. About it.
If you want to see some FD skeets, check it out. So look, if you want to like, subscribe to us. If you want to get our bonus content, like our live stream with FD, if you want to get discounts on merch coming up, if you want to be able to join our Discord, become a community member, which you can do on YouTube, Spotify, or Patreon. Cop the card game as a New Year's gift at shop.wavingtheredflag.com. Let us know everything that you think about this in the comments. That's the show. Peace. We'll see you, next year. We'll have one more, but Merry Christmas. We'll see you before the end of the year.
You know what I mean? Feliz Navidad and all that good.
Yeah. Have an enlightened Kwanzaa. You know what I mean?
Big facts. You know what I'm saying?
Everything.
Learn about Kwanzaa in preparation for this hotep video.
You didn't know? You know what? The first six Decembers of my life, or maybe like the first 10, I was only celebrating Kwanzaa. I don't know what the fuck type of environment I was in. Like, because I low key had a hotep babysitter, which I didn't realize until after the fact. But we only celebrated Kwanzaa.
And your father was a Reaganite though? Like well, you know what? Nah, actually,
think about it for us.
Because the hotep's a complex thing. But the whole point of the video is reclaiming the concept away from the hoteps so that it becomes a wrong hand.
I still feel like I'm mostly I don't know. I feel like my hotep stances have not changed that much. There's been one or two things that I don't know. I feel like they get when it gets crazy, it gets crazy. But I feel like most of the initial viewpoints on how the world operates have been true.
Oh, and that's the problem, is that like the real core stuff that the hotep meme was born out of is some of the realest shit ever wrote.
Okay, thank you. All right, okay, FD. All right, I might gotta watch this video.
Yeah. The problem is that, for lack of a better putting it, the CIA and all of them effectively turned it into a meme over the last 40, 50 years. And it's gotten worse. Like it used to be we started talking, people started saying hotep like when Umar started popping off.
Yeah.
And it was very much a community thing. But like once Umar and Tariq escaped like our circles, they escaped Zeus Network and Tubi. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's certain black people shit that if you talk about in front of white people, they don't know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah. Umar and Tariq, especially Umar, is not one of them. And so now white people know what a hotep is, but they don't know what a hotep is.
No.
And so now
that might have been my fault. I might have explained the hotep. I might have explained the hotep to somebody that I shouldn't have one time.
And that's why I'm taking it on the chin with this video. I'm going ahead and explain what happened and then hopefully put the real shit back on the forefront a little bit, at least for however many people watch the video. And we'll see if that creates a groundswell of, can we get Pan-Africanism away from Umar Johnson? That nigga ain't done a Pan-African thing his whole career, except for wear the colors and not fuck with white women, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. He's got to look. Honestly, if he had by now, we would have found out. So I don't think that he's sneaking
Tariq got
cookies and milk.
Biracial children, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait, he has what?
I think Tariq Nasheed has biracial children.
Oh, no,
Almost
Tariq.
positive.
Tariq may. I can believe that, but Umar, I think if Umar had
Bro, it's
a
just-
secret snow bunny, it would have been, because, like you said, anti-fans.
Right.
It's billions of people investigating him at this point. So I don't think. Yeah.